Hey friend, in this video, I'm going to show you guys how you can trigger those snare ghost notes and those builds without it sounding fake and like you're shooting a machine gun in your song, right? Because we don't want that in our songs. We don't want machine gun sounds. We want a good snare sound, a good natural sounding snare. But you can't always get that with the mics, right? The drum performance was, maybe it was just wasn't great that day, but the rest of the performance was. So how do you save it? Well, I'm going to show you that in this video. I'm going to show you like the best way that I've gotten to trigger those smaller notes and make it sound natural and like a drummer was actually building, not it just triggering a snare. Right. So, but before I do that, mixing cheat sheet down below, EQ and compression settings for just for you if you want to get started, and it's really great, absolutely free. Just pick that up. It'll help. You can put it right next to your screen while you're mixing. And before that, I just want to say I love you guys. I hope God is doing something really, really cool in your guys' life. There's just so much good happening right now, I think, in the world and bad at the same time, that I'm seeing both sides of it. And so I just pray that you guys are that God's just, bestowing things on you. And if you're going through a rough time, well, then let me know, because I'll pray for you, because I want to. All right, let's dive into this. So, we've got a song here that was recorded. I think it was just like a live show, like a live worship night or something. I pulled it out of a random file. So, but I will show you this. So there's this build here that we're on. We're on the snare trigger here. So I'm just gonna make these a little bit bigger here. So if you see on this, we took the snare top mic and then duplicated it onto my snare trigger channel. And you can see where, like right here, he starts building. Right here, he starts building, and then they kind of go back into that bigger part there. So I'm just going to play that for you and kind of show you guys what I mean. And I'm going to turn off the actual snare mics here, just so you guys can hear what the trigger sounds like. Okay, so, I mean, it doesn't sound bad, right? You can tell it's not triggering all of them. So, first things first, like, can you just go in there and change that? You definitely can. So, so let's just go here. So we're just going to solo this, and I'm going to kind of loop it here. Loop. There we go. And see, these are the little notes that we're missing, little hits that we're missing. So I'm going to turn the sensitivity up a little bit here. See, we're still missing those. We're bringing the detail down. Let me check. Oh, I need to have my curves changed. So, you can go back to your standard settings here, and it's going to sound fine. And it's still missing them. And see, it's just not it's not reacting the way you want it to, and there's a better way to do this. And so I'm gonna show you guys that real quick. It takes a little bit more work, but we're going for that realism. So, and sorry if I sound hoarse. I'm a little sick right now. Going through a cold. And so back to this main snare. So I'm going to be using this snare as like my main big hits. So you see like these big hits here. And then of course, once they get into like the chorus area here, I'm going to be using that snare for that. So, that's why you guys saw me have this range change here. So I'm going to pull that back up. I think about to 85 is where I had it. Turn the velocity up, dynamics down a little bit. And then I am only going to be focusing on these big hits because that's all I care about in this situation. And so we're going to turn the detail back up. See, we don't even need those there. Okay, so now that we kind of got that dialed in, sounds pretty good. What I'm going to do is, okay, yeah, so here, let me actually delete this so I can do this from scratch. Okay, so what I would do is I would duplicate the snare trigger track that I just had. So we'll hit duplicate track, but I'm not going to duplicate it with audio in it just yet, which I won't do that at all, actually. And then I will change this to snare trigger ghosts, just so I know which one's which. And then I'm going to come into the trigger file. And the reason I like to do it this way, and I will often have it set up this way anyway, like if I know what sample I'm going to be using. And then I will come into this view curves area. And what I'm going to do is, so the range here is basically the how hard of a samples is it allowing to be like triggered. So like 127 is the hardest hit in the sample block of this trigger TCI file. So that's why we had it set for that one. But now we're going to come in and we're going to change this so that we can change this to 80 or 85 or whatever works for you will probably have to actually gauge the actual sample itself. And if you guys hear the air conditioner, sorry, it's very hot in here right now. So air conditioner is going to stay on. And I don't really like to have the very low one unless I'm doing like some ghost note, like super soft ghost note stuff. So I'm going to keep it around like 15. And then you guys can test this. So then you can come up here and click inside this open area. If you go up, you can see the hardest hits. Cool. So you can actually kind of hear what's being triggered, what's not being triggered. And you can hear up here, like that's like the hardest hit. And I don't really think we want that. Pull that down. Yeah, we'll leave it there for now. Oh, it just went back up. I think if you double click it, it goes right back up. Okay. And then we're gonna put the velocity and the dynamics back down. Okay, there we go. Let me see what's going on with this EQ. Pull that down. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut out all of these building snares here. And so with the little like linked arrow tool and the range tool, if you come up here to this, like the top half of the region, you can just double click and it'll split there. And so literally I'm just going to take that and drag it straight down. And now with this, we can loop this and then solo this. And then we can now dial this in to where it's going to trigger all those ghost notes. And so now, if we have both of these snares going at one time, oh, solo, there we go. So it actually is emulating. You guys can see like how hard the drummer is hitting those notes. So let's just keep going here, and we'll come here, and I think I'm gonna leave those two snare hits there on the big ones. So then come here. There we go, and then we're gonna grab these here, and what I like to do is sometimes like this little hit right here, I'm not sure if that's an actual snare hit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my channel here and I'm just going to bypass the plugin and just listen to this. Yeah, so that is a snare hit. So we want that to be triggered. So turn that back on. Boom. Okay. And then we got this big hit. And then this is where you kind of need to make some decisions here. And I am going to show you guys what I would normally do, but you guys can do it differently, just depending on how you want it to sound. So I'm going to cut these out here and make sure that these are triggering. Okay. And then, so now he has the drummer's doing like a really fast snare build here. Okay, so that sounds like a machine gun. We don't want that. And so what I tend to do is I like to chop out every second one to be the quieter one. So it starts off on that hard hit and then comes back down. And sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't sound good. So we're just gonna test it out here. And you know what? We're just gonna solo both of these and see how this sounds from here. So that to me sounded a lot more natural. The only thing that I would change probably about this is that I would probably actually increase the range on this one just so it's hitting a little bit harder. There you go. Much better. Much better. Much better. So like that's just the kind of stuff you have to play with in certain areas, and maybe you need to automate that. But now we have this. So it's sounding a lot more natural already. Now, you guys are probably like, well, we're losing some of those ghost notes. Yes, for sure. And that is one thing that what I do is on the EQ, I usually tweak it. So I would add more top end to the EQ. So I'm going to find the good top end to the snare and then also the fundamental on the note here, on this snare trigger. I'm going to boost both of those. And that will usually get the snare to poke out to how I want it. So let's just go in. We're just gonna solo this. So here's our fundamental right at like, looks like it was like 150, 145, something like that. We're gonna come up here. There we go. Well, so let's see what that sounds like now. And so what this is doing since I'm changing the EQ a little bit, it's actually making it sound a little bit even more human because of how the drummer's hit. He's not hitting it every single time like the exact same way because we're humans, right? So the EQ is actually, whenever you're hitting a drum, it's slightly changing. Like it's slightly brighter on one hit, slightly darker on another hit with how they're hitting it. And so this is like emulating that. And this is a great way to keep it as human sounding as possible while having a killer drum sample and a killer drum tone because, again, these are soloed, like these are completely clean. So you can send these to reverbs and parallel compression without all the other with all the cymbal bleed and everything. And then it doesn't give you that machine gun sound that we all kind of hate. But then we're always like, man, we love drum samples and what it does to our drum mixes, but then it just kills it. And so easily, and so this is the same thing with like ghost notes on like a verse 2 or something. You can easily just pull out those parts and then make sure that the snare ghost trigger is set appropriately. And if you need to, you can play around with the volume knob to get more of the input in there, and just play around with it until you get it to sit right. The only thing is I'll just use the same sample if you can. Use a sample that has multiple hits, like high, hard hits, medium hits, and soft hits. You need the full range to get it have that full sound. And so just one more time, let's just give it a listen. So yeah, sounds great. Super simple. Don't overthink it. There's always a good simple solution. It may just take some more legwork of you going through here, which I know can be tedious, because I know sometimes whenever you open up a song and it's a worship song and there's like 17,000 builds and it's never ending. Um, it just is what it is, it just is what it is. And so maybe you need to go through and do all this. Maybe the drummer's performance was so good you don't have to do that. And I pray that for sure. But yeah, that is it for today, guys. Super super simple, but a crucial way to get that like natural human snare sound with your samples rather than that machine gun sound. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget about the mixing cheat sheet down below, absolutely free, my gift to you, and I'll see you guys on the next video.